this game spoiled me in more ways than one. I've probably dropped a little over 70 hours on Scum, and I can safely tell you that it is the best open world survival slash crafting game I've ever played. Now I know that sounds like a niche category for it to be under, right? Like oh, this isn't the best game I've ever played, but it is the best open world survival slash crafting game. So it reminds me of like how them like I don't watch basketball, but I hear it happens a lot in basketball. I watch a lot of like MMA and stuff like that. So like in UFC, for example, they'll have these weird stats that's like, this fighter threw the most left-handed punches from 2003 to 2007, and you're just like, what am I supposed to do with that? That's not even a good statistic. It's not like, how can I use that? Anyways, Scum. If someone were to tell me it's the best video game they've ever played, I guess I would be like, all right, cool. But in my case, it is not in my case, but I'm not diminishing it. That's like I'm comparing it, right? Like I don't like going like, oh, well, it's kind of like when people go, I like this, but it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. You know what I mean? Like if you compare anything to being perfect, it's always gonna pale in comparison. That's the way it is. I try to avoid that, but sometimes I fall right into my own traps. I can understand if some people were to say this is their favorite game ever, but for me, it is not because it kind of lacks a story. And I feel like, at least I feel like I've been conditioned to play games. And I'll speak about that more in a second when I say conditioned to play games that, are more, have a fantastic story, great dialogue, great leading characters, or like in the case of The Witcher 3, there were a lot of side quests with actual worth. It wasn't this mindless busy work that a lot of these quests and a lot of these games in quests seem to give you. Like Skyrim is guilty of that. Sorry to call that game out. But that's the first one that pops into my mind. But so many games that are out there just fill you with busy work. So with Scum, it doesn't have a story, but it's kind of like you make up your own story. Like you can. I absolutely love the way that you can play this game however you want, and the options only get better if you have like a private server. Like in my case, I'm renting a private server for like $13, $14 a month or something like that. I feel like it's super worth it because the way I want to play the game is I want to have a few friends on the server and I want to just try to survive as much as I can, living off the land and exploring and looting and just finding better equipment, and even that is difficult, and I completely removed the random PvP aspect of the game. That's completely gone. And I'm still like dying from like mechs trying to sneak into compounds, mechs shooting me up, and dying from random wolf attacks. My friend yesterday got mauled by a bear, which was kind of funny and horrifying at the same time. Um, it's still difficult. It's a difficult game, but what makes it shine and why I think it's the best open world survival game I've ever played, compared to like games like The Force, which I love, and even Project Zomboid, which I haven't played a lot of, but I do enjoy. I probably dropped maybe 4 or 5 hours. I have not played a lot of it, but I do like what I see so far, and I can see myself getting into it. Besides it being the best survival game I've played so far, it it's pretty amazing. And I'm not saying that word in a loose sense. Like it is pretty amazing how you can play the game however you want. Like you can just focus on survival, and the metabolism system, the nutrition system is something that I love. I love the fact that you just like you have to go out there and eat certain foods because your body has certain demands, right? If you continue eating one type of food, right, you're not going to get the benefits of eating a different types of another type of food because different fruits have different vitamins and different properties. So you got to constantly kind of, always be hunting and looting and finding, your sugar level might be low, but you've ate a lot of steak because you've been killing, you know, goats and stuff. So it's like, okay, you would think that in an ordinary game, that's it. As long as you eat, it doesn't even matter if it's like a fucking pound of sugar that you found on an abandoned house cupboard. That is enough to fill up your health meter. Like everyone remembers in Skyrim, once again, the infamous, just eat 70 wheels of cheese before a boss battle and you'll get all your health points. Like this game is not like that. You have to you have to like eat it slowly, or you could choose to eat all of it, but then like actually have your stomach rupture and die from eating, an entire wheel of cheese. Like shit like that blows my mind. I love the devil's in the details, and I love the devil. No, I love the details. It's I'm a very detail oriented guy, and like when I'm reading writing or when I'm like watching videos, people are just they're focused on, oh, isn't this cool? Isn't this cool? I'm just like, yeah, but did you notice that he had this one thing in the back of his dresser? And everyone's like, well, how the fuck you even see that? When why would you even look at that? I'm like that in movies too. I'll be watching movies and it's like whatever they're showing me in the front, obviously that's what they want you to see. You like in the foreground, that's what they want you to see. And I'm looking in the back. I'm looking at like what's inside of that car, or like, damn, look how old that house looks, or this looks like a rich person's neighborhood. But if you want, you can play the game how you want. I understand other games do that too. I never played Minecraft, but I think there's like an exploration mode, and then and I think Terraria also has like an exploration mode and like a normal mode and Starbound and all those little cutesy indie games that I like a lot. So I understand this isn't nothing new, but the way Scum does it, it feels like you really are like the world is your sandbox. It really feels like that. It feels like you can do almost anything you want and play almost any way that you want. If you are one of those PvP heads, right, and you don't give a fuck about metabolism and eating slowly and looting and all that, all you care is about just finding other players, shooting them, taking their gear. You can do that too. You can totally do that too. And, you know, that's probably the meat of the game, to be honest. Like, I don't know what the developer's vision was, which is Gamepires. I think they're from. Is it Croatia or Croatia? Croatia? I don't know how to pronounce that country, but that's where they're from, and that's where the game takes place. And so you drop out of the sky from an airplane, like garbage flying through the sky, because you're like this prisoner who is in this weird reality game show called Scum, and it's like you get dropped off via airplane skydiving into this convict island, and you have to survive with other convicts trying to murder you, as well as the wilderness. You've got flora and fauna trying to kill you. You can eat poisonous mushrooms and die. You can get mauled by a bear. That's pretty much the premise of the game. I usually don't like explaining the premises of the game. I don't feel like I have to. You know what I'm saying? Like it's 2022. Everyone can just look the game up. That's what I do, and that's what I'm assuming other people do too, right? It almost feels like I'm reading like the description at the back of the box. Back then when games used to be physical. That's dying, by the way. That's like maybe I'll make a little podcast thing about that in the future. I don't know. But physical games are dying, man. You can hold on as much as you can, sure, but they're gonna die, man. They're gonna die. Moving on, it's been done before. You can play it, video games, especially survival craft slash craft video games. You can play any mode you would want to play, but this one does it different, man. You can just it feels like you're really surviving off the land. Like everything, it almost feels like everything is a chore. Swimming is a chore, eating is a chore. And of course, if to the average person listening to this, they'll go, why the fuck would I want to invest any time in anything that feels like a chore? You know what I mean? And I guess you would be right, especially with video games. I understand there are some things that are hard that you do need to do for the sake of your own sanity slash health, right? Like working out, right? Working out's a chore, but you have to do it. It not only feels good, but it also prolongs it. Like working out is a plus all around. Saving money, that's a chore, right? People hate saving money, but you got to do it. You got to do it. Otherwise life hits you in the balls, and next thing you know, you're not prepared. That's just my way of saying you just save money, because if something happens, you won't be able to dig yourself out of that hole. I like the fact that it's a chore. It feels rewarding because it it spoiled me. Like I said at the beginning of this recording. Now when I play other games, I'm almost like, oh, I just have to eat this. I could just eat these canned peaches or something, and that's it. I'm all the way full. Like I don't need no type of variety and vitamin. And I'm thinking like that now when I play games. I'm like, shit, Scum spoiled it for me, man. But in a good way. They spoiled it in a good way. Now I'm like it's riveting just to walk around and just try to find. Hunting is pretty fun. Although I don't know which one came from. I'm assuming the hunting system. The hunting system is very similar to uh, the Hunter Call of the Wild. Like very similar, down to the color that they use, to the system that they use. It's like a stripped down version of that. Some may call it a ripoff. Some may call it paying homage. It all depends on what type of person you are and how you see it. I think it's kind of a ripoff, but I mean, I don't care. I liked it. I like Call of the Wild, and I like the fact that they implemented some of those mechanics into Scum, which make the game more thrilling, right? Like hunting is not as easy as you see a deer or a goat or a donkey or a horse or a chicken or a bear, and you just point your gun at it and you shoot it and it's dead, one shot. Like you have to like hunt it down, you have to track it, because most likely it'll run. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes that shit charge directly to you, and I hope you have a powerful gun or an extremely powerful bow, which means that I hope that you also have extremely powerful aim also. It makes me feel like the game makes me feel like just surviving, just like just eating and just living from day to day, and trying to build your base, and then finding a working vehicle. Like all these normal things are exhilarating. They're fun to do, and and I don't know why. It's like you're creating your own events. When I'm playing with a friend or two, we're having a blast just sitting around, drying our clothes up from the rain and a campfire, or pushing a car because it ran out of gas, or, it has three wheels and it gets stuck on the curb, which happened with all my stuff in there. We had to leave and find another car, only to realize our mechanic skill wasn't high enough to install the battery. So we pushed that car halfway across the map for nothing. It was wild. But all that sounds like it's frustrating, which it kind of sort of is, but that's what makes this game shine. It's funny because we're pushing this car down the road, me and my friend, and we're both thinking the same thing. We're like, look at the shit we get into. You know what I mean? Like it. In any other case, you were to explain these scenarios to someone else, like, hey man, we were playing a game yesterday for 6 hours, and all we did was like push a car and ate food and cooked in a campfire. They're gonna be like, that sounds boring as hell. Why would I even give this game a shot? But it's just, I hate to say it, but it is one of those things that you have to play to experience. That's what Scum is. It's like, I can't do it justice, but it's so multi-layered. It really does blow my mind how you can play the game in a survival way. You can play the game in a battle royale type of way. You can go exploring. You can just craft and live off the land. You can get a private server if you like. You could jump on someone else's server. Some people raise the loot system high. Like I guess they manipulate the loot system into making loot appear way more frequently than the default version or whatever. And that's cool too, but I like to play vanilla. I'm a vanilla type of dude, in and out of life. Like I'm a plain pizza guy, I'm a hot dog with no ketchup type of dude, I'm a fries with just salt and pepper kind of guy, maybe a little cheese sometimes. But I'm a vanilla guy. I like, and especially when it comes to video games, since I play them so often, I'm a big proponent of not cheating and a big proponent of not like looking up YouTube videos on strategy guides and tips and console commands and all. I'm more of a just like, let me just jump in and play the game the way it is, which is, and that's the way I've always been. I'm not against cheats. This is what I feel. I feel like when it comes to cheats or like console commands, I believe that's what they're called. Those are cool if you've already experienced everything the game has to offer. If you finished the game and you did all the side quests and you've had your fill of the game, then I feel like, okay, fine. You can now cheat. Of course, you can cheat whenever the fuck you want to. I'm not your daddy, but point is, I feel like it robs you from the joy of experiencing the game. Like I've had friends who have bought games full price, $65 after taxes, and like the first 3 hours, they're like, "Oh, this game is hard," and they're looking up cheats or like strategy guides, and I'm like, "Bro, you just paid $65, and you're gonna use all the cheats." Have as much fun as you can for that moment and then never play the game again. That's such a waste of money to me, man you know? And of course, you're allowed to spend your money the way the fuck you want. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I didn't spend money on bullshit, which I have. But, I guess maybe I am kind of a video game snob in that regard, that I'm just like, no, you should experience the finest version the artistic developer has rendered. This is his vision, and you're tainting it with your commands and my terrible English slash whatever the fuck accent that was. Maybe I am a snob in that regard, and yeah, okay, fine, I'll own up to that. I do, but I can't do the cheats, man. Like some of the best fun I've had, or some of the most fun I've had in video games were just me just jumping in, not knowing what to expect, or kind of knowing what to expect because maybe I was on Steam and I saw a few of the preview videos and read the description and read a few reviews. And then I was like, hey, this game seems pretty cool. And then I just jumped in and I mean I pride myself on that in the sense that like I feel like that's not a trait you see nowadays in a lot of people that play video games. They're more like, they're the internet is prevalent in their life. It's just permeated everything. The internet, it's connected to everything. I believe there's toasters with internet. I'm not even trying to be funny. Like I think there's Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or something like that in a toaster. I read about or heard about a while ago, and I was just thinking like, why would you even have it? I don't. Anyways, is it difficult? Fuck yeah. And here's the thing about Scum that I had to get used to, and it hurt, man. It's like you spend so much time crafting and looting and surviving, and you're ripping your underwear out of your fucking body and cutting it into rags so you can make either bandages or make some sort of cloth rope or make some sort of a improvised messenger bag. And you're doing all this stuff and you're getting better and better, and you're getting lucky with loot, and you're getting beat up by these puppets, which are, they're previously deceased convicts that have been resuscitated by this weird device called a BCU that it turns them into a zombie, essentially. So the word puppet and zombie I use interchangeably when I'm describing these creatures because they're no longer human. I don't know what they are. But these puppets, what was I just saying? You spend so much time just getting bonding with your character, and in near death situations where they're literally destroying the clothes off of your body. And when I say they, I mean the puppets are beating your ass. Sometimes there's two or three of them, and you're bleeding, and you're limping. You finally beat them, and you're limping away into the woods to mend your wounds. And then you lay down, you go find some food, and then you get killed. You die, and you lose all your shit. And your marker is not in the map. It's not in the map. You don't know where you, if you didn't keep close tabs on the map on where you are, or at least the approximate location of where you are, you will lose all of your shit. Your body would, you just lose all your shit. And it's like that I had to get used to that, because that hurt, because I was just like, man, I spent hours upon hours developing this one character. I died, and that's it. I get thrown out of the airplane with, from, I'm another convict on a whole different area of the map. And now I'm just like, what? Like I have to like f- find the approximate location of where I last died and hope that I even make it there if I don't freeze to death or get attacked by a creature as I'm running to get the shit from my old corpse. It's it took a minute. It took a minute, and it discouraged me at first. I was like, "Oh, I can't play this." I was like, "This game is." I uninstalled the game. I was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good." And then, if it wasn't for my friend who kind of wanted to, because she was interested, she was like, "I kind of still want to play," and I was like, "Well, she likes it, and I like it. I just, I wasn't. Video games have conditioned me into keeping all your shit. They make it very convenient for you, right? You're a little more powerful than the enemy, depending on what difficulty setting you put it on. I mostly play on normal. If it's a game that I've already played before in the past, I would put it on hard just for a little more difficulty, a little more challenge. But she wanted to play it, and I was like, you know what? Let's try it again. And once came I came to the fact that I came to the conclusion, and I came to the realization, and also the acceptance of that, like, I'm gonna lose all my shit, even if it's like a high grade gun that I found somewhere that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna keep this. I found bullets for it and everything, and I'm like, I have to understand that I can die and lose all my shit at any given moment. And the good thing is that if you get better as time goes on, your survival skills, your crafting skills, your engineering skills, they all they all slowly develop. They all get raised, but it takes a while. And it's been exhilarating. Since I've accepted the fact that I can lose all my shit, it's way more easier for me to die and then just start again. Start with that stone knife. Take that stone knife and cut out my rags and make a bag and make a spear, a sharp spear from taking the stone knife and sharpening the tip of it. And now I'm running across the map back to where I was, or I'm saying fuck it and I'm starting all over and just looting and finding jackets and boots and weapons and bows and arrows. It, it feels like it's so much more fun when you let go. And that's hard to do because that's years and years of conditioning from other video games, right? Every time your character dies, typically, in most games, you keep all your shit. It's always there. You're always convenienced in one way or the other. And this game does not convenience you. But it feels exhilarating because when you do survive these near death encounters, you really do feel like a king, like a god. Well, maybe god is too extreme, but you feel like the shit. You feel like the man, and you're like, okay, I'm getting good. I'm getting better. I died in this same exact situation with my last character, and now I'm better. I've actually survived this. I'm scraped up and I'm hurt and I'm bleeding and I'm bandaged up, but I made it. And then you die. And then with your next character, you survive that situation and your skills are a little more higher. The mechanics of the game, you can always look those up. I won't get too deeply into it. I only want to just talk about how, I've played lots of video games, and this is, yeah, the best. I mean, like, not only I've said this 17 times already. Not only is it the best survival game I played, but it's also like it's great to play with other people too. You can totally do single player and have as much fun as you can. Sorry, you would have as much fun as you can have with a another player. Typically it's the other way around, right? When you have more friends play with you on a server or whatever, you guys have more fun, even if the game's not that great. There's people who only play certain games with friends but won't play by themselves. I have a few games like that I can think of. But in my case, I can play this game alone, single player, and have a lot of fun. Just running around and just trying to survive and making a base, and that's cool. I will continue playing it. It is on early access, and it is rough around the edges. There's still lots of things, lots of glitches. I won't lie to you. There's been times cars just flipped completely over by the act of me just getting out of the car. Like me just opening the door after I finish driving, putting the car in park, getting out of the car, and as soon as I get out the car, the car flips over, jumps up in the air, flips over, and lands top down. And I'm like, oh, like, and you can't flip it over to my knowledge at least. So you lose all your shit. Anything that's inside of your car, all your cargo's it's gone. You gotta like grab the best stuff that you can carry with you on your person and buy a car. So there's been a lot of unfair, but I'm understanding. I would say I'm more understanding than most, considering how many of those comments I read. Jesus Christ, man, you guys can get a little wild sometimes in that comment section, man. But I'm more forgiving. I understand it's still in early access and they're working out systems, and you gotta be patient. You gotta remain patient. And I feel like the end product, or at least from what I hear, the game was supposed to come out this year, 2021. But I think obviously it's a 2020. I said this year. Sorry, last year, 2021. This year, it still hasn't been released, and it's 2022, so that plan's scrapped. And then in 2022, it still hasn't been released, so that's 2 years already that they missed their deadline. And I won't hold them accountable to that, man. I understand that most games take way longer than, because this game got put on early access 2018, I believe. So what? That's a good 4 years. Yeah, it's a good solid 4 years. That 4.5 years that the game's been on early access. So yeah, it's not uncommon for video games to be developed for that long. Some games have been developed for much longer, 7 years, 10 years. So I understand. I think the game right now in its current state is more than playable. I would say it's like 75%, 80% playable. The other 25, 20% is the glitches, the not only that, the difficulty curve. Excuse me. Um, the server issues sometimes. There's been sometimes I've been just randomly kicked out of the server and have lost all my shit. Lost my car, lost the clothes on my back. I'm literally running around with a swinging dick. And I'm just like, all right, early access. You know what I mean? Like luckily by that time I have already accepted that I lost all my shit. You know what I mean? But it's much more fun when you do that. So if you do end up playing this game, keep that in mind. Go look. Whenever you find something shiny and nice, think to yourself, "Oh, I can lose this at any second, whether it's through glitches or server issues or just getting mauled by a bear or a player." The chances of you losing that shiny little new toy you got are very high. So like, come to grips with that mentally, and you'll enjoy this game a lot more than what you may think. Um, Also, it is, the metabolism system is probably like, you know, it's been talked about so much that, like, I don't think I'm sure there's nothing new that I can't say, but me experiencing it firsthand, it's pretty cool. It is the most extensive metabolism system in video game history, if I'm not mistaken. But like when I open up that tab, it's kind of overwhelming. You're like, oh shit. Well, at first, now I'm used to it. But you're looking at all these vitamins, vitamin K, vitamin B, and you've got this full detail of outline of your muscular system and all this shit. And I'm just like, your gastro, your GI. I can't say the words. You've got a lot of cool stuff going on there, and it's very extensive and detailed. And you're just like, wow, man, this is pretty cool. I can't just survive this game. You can't just survive this game just eating one type of food, but that's not recommended. As in, you will lose. Vitamins will eventually decrease if you don't eat particular foods, fruits or fish. If you're just eating deer all the time, it might be an issue. Water. You've got dirty water, and so far, I've you can't drink salt water. Obviously, I don't know if you can boil water. I haven't even tried that yet. I don't know if that's included in the game. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's still a video game at the end of the day. I can't sit here and say that it's immersive as hell, sure, but there are lots of things in the game, including not only the bugs and the glitches, but also just some of the systems the way the systems are executed, the mechanics they're executed. It reminds you that it's a video game. It can be a little janky sometimes, and it can be like you know a little sped up. Like you'd be like, oh, normally that process would take forever, so they speed it up a little bit. And you're like, okay, that's not too realistic, but I don't blame them because no one wants to sit there for like a full day doing one particular task. But like, yeah, it's not immersive to the point where I can say like, oh, it's a complete escape from reality. You know what I mean? But it's pretty close. And it's the closest I've ever gotten into a game where when it comes to survival, like I feel like it's so detailed and it's so well done that it's addicting. You always want to just figure out these mechanics and always get better and always find better loot. And you know the sense of satisfaction when you kill your first deer, or like all of that. You're just like, wow, I want to do this for a long, long time. And I see myself playing Scum for a while. Like I feel like this is my new favorite video game currently, at least. I play it at least every day for a few hours, usually after work. I'm gonna play it as soon as I get off recording this. That's for sure. It's great, and I caught it on sale. I think it was like $17 or something like that. The sale's over now, but I'm sure there's different websites you can go, like CD Keys, G2A. They should have those. And speaking of those, those websites are pretty shady, right? Like sometimes they'll have like this random. Like I bought Project Zomboid the other day. And I thought that it was just a cheap global key, which it is. And I was like, okay, cool. But what I didn't read was a Steam account thing. So like I had to add this Chinese user, and he sent me Project Zomboid as a gift. And it was weird, man. I was like, this doesn't feel right. It feels like I'm doing a drug deal or something like that. But whatever, I got it. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about these. Not only that, you can risk your account getting banned too. I knew that before I even read about it. I was just like, yeah, this doesn't. This feels so shady. I feel like I might get my fucking Steam account banned, but luckily I didn't. I mean, I did pay for the damn thing. I guess if that means anything. But yeah, these Steam keys are really a gray zone, aren't they? They're like, yeah, I always feel weird using them. It's not a, except for like some of them, like Amoeba. Amoeba is one that I use also, and I don't feel so bad buying keys off of that. I don't know why. I don't know if because they make it easier. I can't even tell you because I'm pretty sure they're using the same system like G2A is, or Green Man Gaming is, or CD Keys is. So I can't say much about that. But you can always find a game, and I think full price is probably like $30, $35, and I recommend it. I do. I mean, like, but just understand it's going to be one of the most difficult games you've ever played, and don't be like me and just get discouraged and stop playing it originally, uninstall it, be like, I want to keep all my stuff. And I'm lucky that my friend was the one that changed my mind, and I continued playing it, and eventually I ended up just loving it. This game's awesome, and I only hope that I don't care if it comes out of early access. I know lots of people do, but personally, I don't. I just want a good game, whether it's an early access or whether it's a full release. I just want a good game. I do think it's smarter for them to at least get the majority of the game under control. The glitchiness, the server issues, um, some of the mechanics in the game. Like, get all that shit down packed before you make a release, and then you can kind of release updates as time goes on. Like, I feel like too many video game companies kind of got that approach. They have this approach where it's like, let's just release the half baked game and then just set, occasionally send updates until it becomes a fully baked game. And it's like no one should pay full price for a video game today only for it to only for it to come to its full potential 2 years from today. So it's like you're paying 60, it's like an investment, right? Like you're paying $60, $65, $70, $75 for a game today. It's not the game you want, but in 2 years it will be. It's like, no, I want the game to be the game I want now, at this moment, the moment that I'm paying for it. But I do feel like a lot of developers are doing it. And while we're on the subject of developers doing a lot of shit that I makes me question their motives, would be like this whole postponing game, right? Postponing games. They would be like, "Oh, so and so title X coming out winter of 2022." Then winter 22 gets close by. It's like, "Oh, sorry, it got delayed because of COVID or some fucking overused excuse." And bang, oh, it's 2023 actually. And then when 23 gets closer, actually, no, it got postponed because I don't know if they're doing this because they're genuinely finding problems along the way and need to postpone accordingly, or if they're doing this as a marketing scheme, right? Like every time they announce this, somehow they get more clicks or views or more eyes on them, and it makes their fucking investors' dicks go hard because they're like, oh yeah, and their producers and all that, they're all like, yeah, yeah, get as much eyes on this as you can, play the system. Because let's be honest, a lot of these executives and stuff like that, from like, you look at them like Sony executives, and you're like, oh, these motherfuckers don't play video games. They're old, middle-aged, rich white guys, and they're like, these motherfuckers don't play video games. You know what I mean? But they're yeah, well, I'm here to tell you about the PlayStation. It's really good. The kids like it. It's got high swag factor. And I'm there like, oh Lord, man. Like, whatever. Look, man, I'm not. They say you don't hate the player, hate the game. I guess. I guess, man. All I'm saying is I don't like that trend. I don't like the trend of releasing a game now and then it becomes the game that you want 2 years later. And I also don't like the whole, oh, we're postponing it. We're postponing it. Like, just be very certain that the game's done or almost done and then come out with some sort of, projected release date. So if Scum stays in early access or if it gets a full release, to me, I could care less. I just want a good product. You know what I mean? Like, I want good updates and I want to see what this game turns into as time goes on. I believe they sold over 1 million copies so far. I don't know anything about the logistics of video game developing companies, but I do hope that that's enough money for them to continue updating this game at least for the next few years. I don't know if that's the case, but I do hope so because I don't want this game to be I don't want it to become a dead game. I don't want it to become a game, not only because I like it, but also because the potential is. You can say whatever you want about Scum. You can say that it's janky. You can say that it's been in early access for a long time. You can say that the game was good at one point, but it ain't good now. You can say a million things about it. But one thing you cannot fucking say, and I will not accept, is that this game does not have potential. Do you know what I mean? Like anyone who plays this game can clearly see this game has potential. And for it to go to waste because they ran out of money or because they are moving on to other projects, like this is a gem that's very like it's not even a fully developed game yet, and this is a gem that's shining so brightly. And I would hate to see it go, man. I would hate to see it get buried, along with the rest of other potential games and such. Give it a shot. I don't think you'll be disappointed as long as you know what you're getting yourself into. Understand that it is a difficult ass game where you will die and lose all your shit. But just continue getting better. Perseverance. Continue logging on daily. Continue grinding, 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 learning skills, learning skills. Eventually, you will get better. See you guys.